So before we get on to the session, probably I'll give a short introduction about what is EVOKE. EVOKE is about electric vehicle open knowledge for everyone. It is a framework designed by Mr. Henry Joshua, who is the chair of Electric Vehicle Committee at SICCI. The objective of it is conducting webinars to bring awareness in clean and green technologies, especially in automotive domain. And also, like, this is an open forum where all the industry collaboration happens, and a lot of promotional activities with respect to startups or any other promotional or opportunity collaboration can take place in this forum. And also, like, of course, we all connect with all the electric vehicle folks, and we try to discuss and debate more on the ecosystem readiness that is required, especially in India region, and how can we bring the international knowledge also to India, so that more collaboration, international collaborations can be fostered. So that is the objective of EVOKE. And talking about our speaker today, Clement. Clement is the co-founder of Remia, where his team and he are reshaping the EV charging solutions. And his focus spans from product development, strategy, and fostering partnership with software developers and installation procedures and manufacturers. Clement's goal is to provide best all in solution with respect to EV charging and electric vehicle mobility. And he has started his e-mobility career in 2014, nurturing a passion for sustainable transportation, and his journey led to the co-founding of Remia in 2022, an innovative EV charging management and payment solution for B2B. And over to you, Clement. We are very eager to listen about the charging infrastructure solutions, like whatever is the existing latest technology, and how is that going to create a standardization across charging technologies, and what is the challenges that we face during this integration, as well as the user experience and accessibility of such solutions, and how can it be made sustainable to the environment also, in collaboration with the grid. So that is also something we are eager to hear some information about it. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
So thank you very much for your introduction, and thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this webinar today. As mentioned, I'm going to present you the latest trend in EV charging infrastructure. I will focus more on the software and the management of the EV charging network, since this is something we have been doing, and I'm not really the expert on the EV charging hardware in a deep side. And the idea would be really to go through how EV charging is evolving, what are the latest trend, and where I believe that the industry is going, and which part of we are addressing. Maybe before I add a couple of words about myself. So I'm also an electrical engineer. I work in the industry before, and then 2.5 years ago, I started to be active in my own startup as parallel to work, which we went into the full time. And we are now focusing on developing our solution. Mainly we are in Europe, but of course we are operating the EV chargers. So mainly Austria, Slovenia, and Croatia, Germany also. So we are now in 4 countries, but we are still relatively small. My role in the company is basically leading the company strategy, developing new partnerships, and also leading the development of our software product. So I'll go directly to the presentation. And if you have any question at the end, you're welcome to really ask me. What are we basically doing? There are some standard terms in the electrical mobility industry when it comes to EV charging infrastructure. We at Remea, we develop our own platform, and that platform enables charging point operators. So charging point operators are the companies which are operating EV chargers. They can own these EV chargers, or they can operate them for someone else. And we are also enabling e-mobility service provider solution. An e-mobility service provider solution is the company that enables via app or web app the end customer to be able to charge with their app. Usually e-mobility service provider and CPO are one company, but of course they have developed different business models where, of course, with roaming, another e-mobility service provider can offer their services on the CPO chargers of some other partners. I'll describe that a bit later, so to not to be confusing. We offer e-mobility services on chargers with our own network. We have a small network, about 150 EV chargers. We are developing e-mobility solutions, basically the software, which we are also in the process of offering to partners or bigger customers. And we try to build a small network, as I mentioned, with our own chargers, which we then directly integrate to the platform. So what does it mean if you are a developer of charging solution? Developer of charging solution of charging platform is a company that is developing, usually it's called in the industry the backend system, which is the software that integrates on the EV charging stations and enables their management, billing, overview, communication with them, setting all of their parameters. And moreover, it enables then this company who owns and operates the chargers to offer charging service via app or web app to the end users. Of course, it's important when offering the solution to end user that the charging experience is as easy as possible, which means that when EV driver comes to the charger, he or she should be able to charge as fast as possible without any other complication. And of course, it's important then to take care also of the managerial relationship between customers, owners of EV chargers, and provide them the complete management, reporting, and invoicing of the charging services. And in order to do that, the integration with different hardwares, with different models measuring power is important. As an e-mobility service provider, you are then more focusing on the customers. There are companies who actually don't even own their EV chargers, but they focus on developing the best app or web app that can be integrated with the chargers all over the network, or basically all around the world or in such region. And here, the idea is to increase the visibility of chargers so that the EV drivers can actually find the chargers of these charging point operators, that they can easily use the solution of e-mobility service provider to charge their charging service. It's also about getting roaming agreements. Basically, the different parts of the charging ecosystem, different operators can basically collaborate and offer charging solution together. But most importantly, it's about getting customers and increasing chargers utilization. Because as an owner of EV charger, you want to have, of course, as many traffic as possible, get as many charging as possible to utilize your infrastructure in the best way. And of course, it's also then, as an e-mobility service provider, it's also about developing a business model that you offer to your customers. So do you offer a fixed subscription to the customer? Do you offer ad hoc charging, which means basically you're able to charge without any registration immediately at the spot? And also about what kind of pricing structure you introduce. It's really about the time you spend on the charger, about the energy, can you buy like a monthly package, and so on. And there are different business models in the industry. And of course, as a charging point operator or someone who is building the charging network, is the role is basically construction of EV charging sites, which you can own, or you can get small businesses who own EV chargers to connect in the network. And this is actually the part of the market we are concentrated on. It's about energy management and optimization, basically getting the best prices of energy as possible to be able to offer as cheap charging service as possible. It's about reacting to the malfunctions of the EV chargers in real time, and basically all around erection and building of new charging site. And of course, the existing charging site, you need to keep them operational at all time. And this is something that a charging point operator is usually doing. And the biggest charging point operator, so you will have, for example, in Europe is Ionity. Ionity is basically a made up of different OMs or original equipment manufacturer, the big players in Europe like Volkswagen and so on. It's also Shell. It's a very powerful worldwide, and BP. In India, maybe you can, I've done some research, but maybe you can then really at the end we can discuss which are some of the biggest charging point operators, maybe also which international players are entering, because all around the world we are kind of now seeing that there is a lot of effects of globalization and consolidation in the market, basically where the bigger players are really increasing their market share worldwide. Then to provide unique solutions, but there are still space for us smaller players who can basically provide solutions tailored to the small segment of the market with specific needs. Where we are offering, as I said, as offering mobility services or business model in our startup basically is like that. It's a bit different from what I mentioned, because our primary activity is that we developed a software platform that enables small to medium businesses that they can connect their chargers in a common network, and we operate the chargers for them, and we offer e-mobility service or charging service to end customers for them. And our ideal customers, I have, for example, some of them here are in terms of hospitality, but also other small businesses who usually own from 4 to, I don't know, 50 chargers. And they want to be independent. They don't want to be part of the big network, as mentioned before, because they want to own their chargers, and then they want to offer flexible pricing and flexible solutions to their customers. And this is the market segment that is actually very developing. It's all around the world, and where basically every small business with a good location, with the access to energy, and where the customers are staying, can build 2, 4 H chargers, connect them to some network like ours, but of course there are also competitors doing this, and be able to monetize their EV chargers easily without giving their space to big charging point operator. How basically it started to the EV charging. There's been really study about the McKinsey that kind of prognosed that if it all started with the public chargers, and there are around, let's say, there are around I know around the world there are currently, this is data for European Union. In European Union there are around 500,000 chargers. It's estimated there'll be 3 million whole world around, especially accounting China, which has the most EV charging points. There are probably today a few million EV chargers, and this market is going to increase. But really interestingly is that the market for public EV chargers is going much slower than the market in the business and private EV chargers, where actually the chargers are owned by private users and small businesses. And this is something that we call lifestyle integrated EV charging, because it enables that the end customer, they can charge at their favorite location. They can charge at their shopping mall. They can charge at their gym that they're using. They can charge at the workplace they are working. They can charge at while doing their everyday activities if they don't have access to charging, while in the public charging they usually needed to go to the spot that was on some public space, usually near the motorways, and they charge. We still believe that the public charging will be the main driver for the fast charging and for the basically the DC charging, while the business offered EV charging by small businesses will be the main driver for AC or slow charging, type 2 charging. And actually, depending on the country and the charging profile, 80% of charging sessions happen here. They happen overnight while being at the work, while vehicles are parked, where the other 20 or 10% happens on fast EV chargers. Of course, we see that together that the market worldwide is actually growing quite fast. So there are going to be around 30 million EV chargers alone in Europe accounting for the loss of all around the world is actually very easy to calculate. Usually the ratio needed is you need per 5 EVs, you need one basically EV charger that is offering commercial EV charging. And especially in the business sector, this charging is growing very fast. And basically in this segment, the businesses they want to offer EV charging, of course, they are faced with some main questions. How to manage the EV charging stations profitably? Because of course they needed to invest some money into EV chargers that they need to pay back. How to integrate charging with their business, because usually they are not investing into EV chargers just to earn money from it, but they want to attract the clients. And since when you are using the EV charger, you are staying at least for a couple of minutes. If you are not, or if it's AC charging a couple of hours to that locations, it makes sense that when you attract customers like that you are able to offer them something where they are charging. And of course, how to gain competitive advantage, how to be different than the neighbor who might be doing the same. You may maybe make an offer that if you stop at a restaurant, you buy lunch, you get cheaper or free charging and so on. And there'll be a possibility to build many new business models around EV charging for small businesses as well as for bigger players. And of course, the main segment that everyone is focusing on, even if in the small segment, is the commercial EV charging. Basically, commercial EV charging is offering EV charging at the location of a businesses, charging service which is being paid, and attracting the customers who will buy the EV charging service from you. Why I'm mentioning always EV charging service and not the energy? Because in some countries you are not allowed to resell the energy if you are not a utility company, but you can offer EV charging service. It's just a legal, basically a legal mechanism. And main features when you talk to commercial charging is, of course, you set up your EV charger and the pricing according to your needs. So you might offer some discounts, you might offer free charging for certain guests. You try to basically get someone who can help you with operation of EV chargers if you are small, so that's not your core activity as in business and you want to outsource that. And of course, you need complete automation. Basically, when the end customer will come, plugs the vehicle, it's easy for him to start the charging, pay for it, and you want at the end of the month as the owner of EV charging stations get a cost settlement, get the revenue stream from your end customer who were charging there while paying to someone who provided you the EV charging services. And there can be different companies fitting the profile of offering commercial charging, from small businesses, from shopping centers, electrical installation companies, all the companies in hospitality sector, in the entertainment, urban areas, parking spots, shops, and so on. I'll not go into detail, but I just want to mention what are kind of the problems that these companies are facing when operating the electric charging infrastructure if they don't implement it right. There are some functional problems, which is tracking and billing of EV charging sessions. When they buy, sometimes the software that already comes pre-installed in the chargers, some of the charger manufacturers offer that, they are usually not developed in a good way, and they could be easily coming the problem of tracking and managing the charging sessions. They need to take care of it on their own by themselves, which is time consuming. And there is also a problem in reliability and the customer experience, because if the end customer who comes with the electric vehicle gets bad experience, it will usually not return to the charger, which is then of course making a problem to the owner. There also have some problems coming from society. There is this pressure that you need to be green, that you need to offer EV charging. So that's why some businesses offer charging just to get some image. Of course, some customers already request at the hotels that they need EV chargers, because otherwise they will lose the customer who drive electric vehicles. And of course, there are these really emotional problems that come due to bank functionality. Basically, frustration that is associated with EV chargers that come from owners and by end users, which can be solved by good software. Basically, good charging experience, the simplicity of managing it. And there are also customers who already regret of even having the EV chargers because they implemented in the bad way, which led to gas dissatisfaction. So to really sum up, it's really essential when you're building the EV charging infrastructure, you get the right charger, that you get a right software solution or partner who can manage your charger, and then you think about it that you can make charging at your location really profitable. And there are, of course, different models. I'll again be short about it, how you as a business can face EV charging. You can, of course, offer free charging. So basically, there were a lot of companies did that. They just installed EV chargers, which were open. They needed the access to the grid, and that's that. That was quite simple. But the problem for that was that you are giving the electricity for free. You're basically not billing the kilowatt hours that are being charged. And the problem that happens here is, of course, you cannot track if the people who are charging are really or your customers. There are people who will abuse free charging, and you will have highly monthly bills. And then even what will happen, someone who is really your customer will come, the charging spot is being occupied, and he'll again be dissatisfied. And you have customers that are not satisfied, and you're losing money. Then there are companies who planning to offer commercial EV charging as additional service, and they are planning to offer EV chargers. But of course, they have some financial concerns about implementing EV chargers. That's why it's also important to assess the potential of locations. What do you want to achieve with EV charging? Do you really want to earn money, or do you want to just cover the cost and then get the customers at your location? And there were customers who decided to outsource EV charging, which is actually at the first glance not a bad idea if you get a reliable partner. And they use third-party solution, which is meant, for example, they usually integrate their EV charger to the network of some utility company. But the problem there it is fast there is that the charging is completely separated from their business. It's not integrated with their core business activities, and they cannot modify pricing and conditions. If this is a parking spot, a large shopping mall, fine. But if this is a hotel or for someone where charging can be part of a business model, it's really important to have the flexibility to build the business model around charging by yourself. And of course, there are customers who completely outsourced EV charging. Basically, they get a company, which I mentioned before, charging point operators. They sign a contract and they get, for example, they rent them the spot. The other company then builds EV chargers and take care of the whole charging service. In that case, of course, you get the EV charging solution at your location, but you're not making revenue from it, and you lost complete flexibility to impact it because someone else owned the chargers at your locations. And the contracts are usually for many years. So even if you want to change that, you will need to wait many years that you are able to offer the charging by yourself again. What basically the customers expect, the customers, I mean, from our perspective, so the people who own EV chargers, especially small businesses, they want to have they want to have easy price management, setting the prices with themselves. They want a complete optimization. So important for every platform in the EV charging is to offer complete automation. They want integration into their business. They want to manage the access and user groups. What does that mean? For example, a company has EV chargers and they want to offer different conditions to their employees, to their business partners, as well to the third-party users who are just charging. And the whole thing needs to be very easy to charge. And with that, I mean from both sides, easy to charge the car and easy to charge for that service. How does that basically that looks from the technical perspective? Let's we have a restaurant, which is, let's say this is a small business owner who then decides to install 2 chargers. That customer will need to have a solution, which will be a web app. So basically it will put the software which communicates with a protocol which is called OCPP. This is the industry standard protocol that is used for communication between the charger and the backend system managing the chargers. So that business will implement any system, in that case is ours, but could be any competitor system, that will via cloud connect with their charger, which of course needs to be connected to the internet. What we will do, over the OCPP, we'll get all the information on the charger in real time. So we'll be doing real-time monitoring of the charger. We will see what is the current voltage, what is the status, is the car being connected or not, it's operational, and so on. And when the end user will come, the user will scan the QR code on the charger, and the app will open, and it will get the possibility to start the charging session. And when that happens, we will remotely get the signal that someone wants to initiate the charging session. And of course, we start the charging session on the charger, and we start tracking the energy, the time, and the actual cost. And at the end of the session, let's say after 1.5 hours, we will bill that charging session to that end driver that came to the system. Some of the services that we are using will take some fee, and we will take our fee. The customer, the end customer, will pay to us. We'll be collecting that payments, and at the end of the month, we'll transfer the money to the restaurant. And we are doing, and usually that monthly cost settlement is done on the monthly basis. And we will also be offering to that customer like repair and maintenance, and basically a fixed management of their chargers, so that they don't have to do anything. Once they set up the conditions, they of course always welcome to monitor it by themselves, or to add or to change the condition, but actually this is running 24/7. They don't want to do, they don't have to do anything, and they become a part of the network where someone as a charging point operator, in that case it could be we or our partner, is able to offer that. Why it's important, the OCPP protocol is also important, because when you connect it to all of the chargers on the cloud, you're able to also offer roaming services and connect with other partners to offer EV charging. Why is that important? Because if the customer comes here and he is already used to some other app, he can still pay with that other app on that charger, and that restaurant will still get his profit from the charging. And of course, what I mentioned, it's very important for all the stakeholders, for the owner of the charger, as for someone who is managing the EV charger, to have as many charging sessions as possible. That's why it's important to do a connection with different search portals for EV charging stations, different maps, so that the drivers see that location before they arrive, and they see that this restaurant has EV charger. And that's basically a model how the EV charging works, and how a small business can get a complete service and offer EV chargings by them via some network. Because if they are not the part of the network, there are companies like that. Let's say we have a restaurant with 2 chargers and they're completely isolated. In that case, they'll have no one to manage EV chargers by themselves. First of all, it will be difficult for end customers to even find them. So they would rely just on the local and customers who already know there's EV charger. They will need to find a solution to build EV charger by themselves. There are companies, for example, who have the customer needs to go inside the restaurant, gets the RFD card, start the chargers, and needs to pay with actual money, basically with physical cash, which is very inconvenient. It's a lot of work for a business. It's bad utilization, and you're not being part of the big network. So it's essential to use any cloud system that enables you to be part of the some EV charging network. And when you have the EV charging platform for businesses, as a business, if we go back to that restaurant, let's call it a Carl Restaurants, which we have it here. It's some bistro that offers also rooms. You connected your 2 chargers to the big network. You manage these EV chargers completely flexible according to business needs. So with a platform, you connect, you set up the conditions of your chargers, you see how many charging sessions you have, how many revenue you make per month, and how many kilowatt hours your customer consumes. You also, for example, you're offering 2 small charging stations, and your end customers are able very easily to start the charging sessions. They see the energy they consume, the duration, and they're billing directly. You are optimizing the value and the profit of your charging, so your total cost of ownership goes down, your return of investment of your EV charging increase, and you provide a seamless charging experience via web app to the end EV drivers. And then you're able to participate, let's say, as a restaurant, a small pizzeria, in the charging service and add the extra income even as a small player. And I think that's a very interesting business model to be to tackle on, because the cost of the EV chargers went down. For example, buying in a standard EV charger like that in Europe costs around €1,000, or in the States is around $1,000. But if you buy the equipment, for example, for some big producers, you're also able to get it for €200-300, for example, if you get it from local producers. And that amount of money can pay back very quickly. You just need a spot and you need a electricity connection. So you need a standard for it you don't even need an industrial network. You need standard 200-volt connection and 16 amperes per phase. So it's not really even a lot of connection power that you need, because 11 kilowatt is already enough to have a small EV charging station. And how do you do as a business? So how does this restaurant gets to EV chargers and gets to the state that can offer EV charging to their customer? Well, basically, for it first, it needs a partner that comes to that location and does feasibility study. So do you have enough connection power to have EV chargers there? Is your spot even suitable? Will people come to charge? This is something that, for example, electrical installation companies or people installing the chargers try to assess for customers. And then you get the customer requirements. Do I want 2 chargers, 4? What kind of power usually? How do they look like? Are they integrated as towers to go to the wall, depending on the location? Then you choose the charging technology, and it's very important to have also dynamic load management solution. What is that? Dynamic load management enables that restaurant that is able to manage the whole power consumption that location, because of course that restaurant will also be using energy for cooking, for air conditioning, and so on. So it's important that you are at any point in time that power that you have, you are basically transferring between other power users and EV chargers. And that is something that, of course, smart charger needs to provide. Then you do a whole project study and a plan. You implement the installation of chargers and implement and integrate it to some charging platform, and you start offering EV charging service according to your business model. And how we tackled that solution, we developed the whole platform and the app completely web-based. I can show that in the end, meaning that no customer, the end customer and the owner of chargers, does not need to install any additional software, but all solutions are accessible via cloud on the mobile phone, on the tablet, or on the computer at any point of time. And that business will then overview of his location. So for example, charging hub means how many are charging station one locations. I have 8 charging station, when they were added, the status and the address. This is a very simple representation. And the end user will get the possibility to offer the charging with a web app just by scanning QR code. What are some others? So this is, for example, how our solution works. You come, you scan QR code, you get the pricing conditions, you enter your email, you pay, and you can charge. Very simple. This was about commercial EV charging, but there are many different use cases emerging for businesses. There is a workplace charging, where basically companies, especially if they have solar power plants and they have excess energy during the day, which they don't need for production, they can offer, for example, EV charging to employees who have EVs, but they're, for example, not able to charge at home because they live in big residential buildings. And there is on the other way residential charging, where people can charge in the residential buildings in the garages during the night. And then they need a solution for billing and tracking of the energy consumptions between different residents. When you go into that implementation of some of the project, of course, you always need to do a customer requirement analysis. You do analysis of the infrastructure the customer needs. You need to think how to integrate the chargers, install them, and how to connect them to the platform. You can use between different charging technologies. There are some examples here. And of course, very important to measure the energy consumption at the building, at the grid connection when you are implementing the chargers. How we were doing that as a company and how there are different possibilities. We started directly selling our solution to B2B, to the customers. Then we onboarded around 50 chargers by ourselves in Slovenia and Austria, which look like that. They had a charger, we put a sticker, we connected to our cloud system, and now the customer can charge here. And then we used also some partners, resellers, who were then, when they were selling their chargers, they also offer a simple software solution. And this is a business model that becomes very interesting for small installers. Imagine you are an electrical installation company with 4, 10, 100 people, and you are making just installations. You are earning some money by selling the charger and making installation. But when you offer additional platform and a possibility to manage chargers, you get two additional benefits. First of all, you can solve customer problems and provide them more benefit. And for you, you have generated a revenue stream, because if that charging station is creating revenue, you will get part of a commission from it. And the third stage that is very important is this automated sales, where basically the end customer can come online and buy the charging platform by themselves, configure it by themselves, or automatically order EV charging installer to configure it for themselves. So this is something about our business model. But if we have time left, we can also have a discussion, and we can go more also about the EV charging infrastructure and trends, which is actually the topics, which are the topics of today. And I'm also very happy to showcase the platform and to showcase how actually the EV charging management works in real time. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really a very good informative session, Clement, and we are very happy to see all the solutions that you're providing, and also especially the business model, how it has been formulated, and also like probably I can kickstart with one of the question that keeps coming to me. It's like you had explained about having a public charging station, the scope of public charging station and the private charging stations, and how the variation happens. Like the public charging stations, if it is growing linearly, of course, the private and uh, private charging solutions are growing at an exponential rate. So, and also like one question is, if most of the charging happens during night, say for example 80% of the charging happens during night, so in that case there'll be a peak load on the grid, right? So how is the charging solutions or intelligent enough to manage this particular scenario? Clement, we are not able to hear you. Probably, are you able to unmute? If not, you can rejoin. I'm really sorry for the technical glitch. Meanwhile, folks, I think Clement has given a beautiful presentation on different business models possible in and around charging solutions. Uh, Please post your questions in the chat window so that we can take up the questions one by one.
Me? Does it work now?
Yes, it works. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, I wanted to say it's a very good question. So thanks for asking that question. Yes, that's a very big challenge that we are all face all around the world because the charging will happen during the night. Most people, especially in slow charging, charge during the night, but that's actually also a good in a way because during the night we don't have other electric loads active. Imagine that, for example, someone uses the chargers in front of their restaurants because they don't have possibility to charge at their own building. But that restaurant is not operating during the night, so they are not consuming electricity for all other loads. And if you look at the load profile of any country, you will see that the energy consumed during the night is actually at the lowest, which makes a big opportunity. So charging overnight, it's very smart. Of course, it's limited. And in that way, it's important that the platforms, like I mentioned, they always monitor the energy at every charging sessions. And if you integrate with some other in some other energy network, there are already solutions like that. The energy provider can tell you as the operator of EV charger, please reduce the power of that charging station for example, for that many percent. And platforms are then able to do that automatically. They can do that in a whole region, meaning let's say you're operating in one country. Let's say you're in India, let's say you are CPO in Kerala. And nowadays comes the local operator and it tells you, okay, you need to reduce that many, let's say 1 megawatt or 5 megawatts of current load. As a charging point operator, you're able then to identify which chargers you should reduce the power and by how much. So you can do that. You can do that more, let's say locally, let's say in a part of the town, in one street, or at one business. So that energy management becomes very important, and it also works the other way around. Because with that many solar power plants built, it can happen that there's the excess of energy. This is, for example, happening in Europe, in Germany, that during, for example, Saturdays and Sundays when when the industry is not operating, there is too much power produced, and the power becomes negative, basically meaning the prices are negative. You are being paid to consume the power because they need to get rid of the power. They're switching off the power plants, and then someone who operates the EV chargers can say to its customers, dear customers, now you can, it's a happy charging hour, you can charge now completely for free. The price is zero per kilowatt hour, and the people be very happy. Of course, they're getting something for free, but charging port operator is actually earning because the price is negative. So he's being paid to get that excess energy out from the grid. So I think in the future we'll have two scenarios. We'll have scenarios where you will actually need to reduce the power of chargers or basically shut off chargers completely. But there'll also be the other extreme where there'll be excess of energy, and you will actually be able to charge for free, even get paid for it. And the role of the charging point operator will be to take care of that. And you and someone as an end customer, if it will be really smart and flexible and they will use that tariffs, will be able to drive with electrical vehicles really cheap.
That really uh, it's a good, very good solution for this, Clement. Especially the happy charging hours with discounted charging rates would be a very good solution for this. And I would request, if any other questions are there from the participants, please post it in the chat window. We will unmute you. And also, I have one more question from my side, Clement. Is there any existing solution that integrates the charging insights across multiple charging stations? Say, for example, few charging stations might be faulty, or probably there could be software glitches or there could be a hardware glitches all the time. So will, as a customer, as an electric vehicle owner, will I be able to get the insights before getting onto the charging station? How are the performance of the charging infrastructure available at that particular restaurant or any infrastructure that I might get into?
Yes, very good question. Thanks for asking. There are companies who are, for example, focusing on that. For example, there is this company. It's called PlugShare. All of you, you are very welcome to Google it. There is one more. I think it's called ChargeMap. And what they're basically doing, they're integrating the information about all the chargers that are out there, and also end users, or they automatically are assessing them. Because usually the charging point operators that operate with the software, we are definitely aware if the chargers has problems, so we could show that in our app, but usually this is not being done. Because why? Of course, because they don't want to kind of cannibalize the charging station, and they try to solve the issues. But while they are doing that, I agree with you, it'll be good to mention that. Actually, it will be better to do that also, in my opinion, because it's better than to prevent people coming there, because if they do and it does not work, it's of course bad for the customer, bad for company operating it. But currently this is still not being solved as a whole system solution. And as you mentioned, yeah, it should be, because the problem can come from different areas. It can come from firmware updates, so that's basic firmware running on the EV charger. It can come from charging platform, like we are, who can have some issue at the moment or issue with a particular charging station. It could come to the network connection. It can come to the broken hardware. So the chances are very high, and I think there was a survey that says still that the reliability of EV chargers is around 65%. So 35% of the time when someone comes and wants to do, actually something goes wrong or there is some issue, which is still quite very challenging.
That's really true, because the progression of electric vehicle penetration might depend on multiple other scenarios, and this could also one of the scenario or the challenge maybe that we could resolve. Yeah. So I think that was really a wonderful session. Um, Probably, if no other questions are there from the participants, I'm not sure if even they are facing some technical glitches from their side for asking questions. So in that case, what I would recommend, please post your questions to Ajita from SICCI directly, so that she will be able to direct you to Mr. Clement for um, getting your questions answered. And thank you so much for the wonderful session, Clement. And we will definitely get in touch with you for further sessions and for any Q&A that we receive from our participants.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for your time for listening. And thanks for great moderation, of course.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you.